right. Let's talk about an aliens book, not an alien book, an aliens book. These don't come out all that often anymore. It's from Titan Books. This is called Aliens Phalanx by Scott Sigler. Now, I want to point something out about this book. This was really interesting when this came out. I remember this came out in 2020, came out during lockdown, and I was in a Barnes and Noble. And I saw this. I saw a hardcover Aliens novel. Now, this IP, nowadays, it's kind of 50-50 on whether we'll get one of these in an oversized paperback or a hardcover from Titan Books. Which, by the way, this is like what the book club size used to be, or A5 size, which I love. This is my favorite way to read a book, is in this format right here. This is my ideal way, like, size for reading. I like these. It's got the durability of being a hardcover, but it's smaller and easier to manage, typically. But this came out like this. I mean, they did a limited run, not like a limited run, but they did one printing like this, and then the rest came out in paperback. Specifically, oversized paperback, the new paperback format. Because, like I said, when I did Prototype, that's the last of the mass market paperbacks, unless they do a 3-in-1. Then those are mass market paperbacks. I just go figure. Just weird. It's just a weird thing that Titan Books does now. But this is an interesting book. Phalanx is about a human beings on a planet, not Earth, a planet that's sort of in a feudal society, in a way kind of post-apocalyptic. Our main character, Ahalia, is a runner. She's in a crew of 3, and they run supplies from different holds, little townships that are underground. Reason they're underground? The demons are getting them, aka the xenomorphs. So there's been a xenomorph outbreak on this planet for a very long time, and it just got progressively worse and worse. And humanity has been wiped out. Almost 90% of it has been wiped out on this planet. And they've just sort of reverted back to medieval times, which is kind of interesting. We find out a little more later, but I will not spoil that. But it leads to an interesting concept that was brought up in an early version of Alien 3. An early script of Alien 3 took place on a man-made planet full of monks. And everything was going to be wood. They were going to have primitive tools. Now that got transferred into the prison script and then becoming inmates. But it's a similar concept, and it's a concept I like. There's really one plot that typically comes with xenomorphs. Any xenomorph story, whether that be Alien or Alien versus Predator. There's a xenomorph outbreak on a colony, planet, what have you. And it's about survival and escaping. You gotta escape. You're stuck in a confined space with them. Alien, it's a spaceship. Aliens, it's the colony. Alien 3, the prison. Alien Resurrection, again, a ship. But when it comes to the books, they kind of follow this too. And a lot of times it just leads to staleness and repetition. And not in a good way. This takes some of that out. The xenomorphs have, for the sake of Ahalia and her friends, they are a factor of life. Now things are getting worse with the xenomorphs. And not everyone's agreeing on what to do about it, or even believing that it's getting worse. And that is a different angle to take. So they call them demons. They live in at Black Smoke Mountain. They avoid that place, and as runners, when they're running to get medicine or food or what have you from the different holds, they come across them. And the big thing in the beginning of this is the Xenos are now hunting in the daytime, which they used to come at night. Which, I mean, that comes straight from aliens, right? They mostly come at night. Mostly. And now they're coming in the day. They're getting bolder. They're getting more. They just want more and more victims. And the people don't quite understand what the deal is with the demons. And there's a lot of religious zealots and stuff. It's interesting. It's just an interesting thing. Ahalia as a character, really interesting. Now, it's pretty common in Alien that we have a woman protagonist. And a lot of times they kind of come off as cookie cutter, or in these days, as unpleasant and annoying. I don't know what it is about modern authors, but it's like we've taken 3 steps back writing women. Why? Ahalia is not that. Ahalia is a flawed character. She's 19, a bit naive, but she has hopes and dreams, and she's aware that the situation with the xenomorphs is getting a lot worse, even though her leader, the Margrave, wants to say otherwise. There's something going on, and she's very intelligent. She's got a mind for military tactics, but doesn't necessarily have the strength to be part of the Phalanx and hold a spear and shield. And in her hold, women can't be warriors, so she's just stuck being a runner. And men and women aren't treated equally, and, you know, it's not very preachy about that. It's not like, oh, it's a good thing that men and women are treated differently. It's bad, but it's not preachy. It's just treated as just a fact of life, and over the story she's trying to change that, and it works. Everything in this works. And it's the first time, I mean, I read Uncivil War, but that came out last year. This is probably the first time, if we're going publication order with the Titan books, first time a solo Alien book worked. Because that's the problem with a lot of these Titan books, novels, right? They have like 1,000 issues with them. They just feel, some of them feel like cash grabs. Some of them have just modern day politics just to be relevant, and overall, those books are going to be hated in the future because they're going to be dated. This is something that has just become a fact of life with the Alien IP. And it's nice that Phalanx doesn't fall into that. Not to mention, it's so removed from everything else in the Alien timeline, because, like I said in my Alien review conundrum, there is now a bizarre continuity that has happened with the modern Alien novels, where they kind of fall into 2 categories. They follow, like, the Alex White books, and then building off that continuity, or they tie into the Aliens the movie, which both are weird. There's a couple outliers, of course. We've got this, the Alien 3 William Gibson script novelization, and I think Echo came out shortly before this did, which that's the YA Alien book, which is ghastly, FYI. It's so bad I never finished it. It's not worth reading. It is also like one of the most expensive, it might be the most expensive Alien novel out there. I've seen it go on eBay for about $150. It's just ridiculous. Terrible, terrible book. Not worth your time to read. because that's what we need. We need a teen romance with xenomorphs. Ugh. But this, we have some romance in this. We got like a whole gamut of things. But ultimately, what it comes down to is that this is creative. And I'm trying to be vague with a lot of this because Scott Sigler himself asked to not give spoilers for this book if people are reviewing it or talking about it online. So I'm trying not to. I'm trying to respect him. I think he's genuinely a good author. He's probably one of the best alien authors we've had in a while. I was a fan of Uncivil War. I think it's those two really are kind of outliers right now. I'm looking forward to reading some more of these alien books, but ultimately I am nervous, especially after reading this, because they don't really follow this. There is one short story that Scott Sigler ended up writing for AVP Ultimate Prey, that collection of short stories, which is a sequel to this, which I think I might read soon, but I'm not going to review that whole book yet. I got a lot more things that I need to review before I get into reading AVP stuff, which I know people have been asking me to do, but bear with me. There's a lot of stuff I have on my plate to review. But this, honestly, is a solid 5 out of 5. This is probably one of the best Aliens books I have read in years. And I mean this. This book, if someone's like, I want to read an Alien or Aliens book, what should I read first? I'd hand them this. It's self-contained. That's the big thing. It's a self-contained story. It doesn't really tie into anything. If you wanted to continue more, then you got the short story in AVP, the AVP short story collection. So, anyway, have a nice day. I'm pretty happy with this.